Hey guys, it's Yvette and here I am ready to start. Okay, so I'm not really ready, but we have to cut the fabric. And in order to finish cutting the fabric, we have to start cutting the fabric. And there's always like so much to cut. But if you guys have done these mystery quilts before, then you know there's nothing better than once we start sewing, we can just keep sewing because all the cutting is done. So yes, this is a bit tedious and, you know, nobody loves doing the cutting. If you do, please go ahead and comment below because then we'll all send you our fabric and let you cut it. But anywho, I have already prepared all my fabric. No, I do not wash it, but I do starch it very lightly, and I use Mary Ellen's Best Press, and I apply it very, very lightly. I use one of these spray bottles. They're called like stylist sprayers or something like that, and it perfectly sets out this fine like sheen of starch over everything. And then once I give it a light spray, very light spray, I just take my hands and I kind of run it on the whole thing and, you know, kind of even spread it thinner that way. So I really don't use a lot of starch, but I do use it because I do feel that it gives the fabric a little more body to work with whenever you're doing your cutting. And also with the sewing as well, I just feel like the fabric behaves a little bit better. However, I do not tell anybody that they should or should not starch. That is a personal decision and another reason why I just do it off camera. So I have this ready and I have my cutting instructions. So you know what? We're never going to finish if we don't start. So let's get going. I'm going to move all of this to the side because our white fabric is the one that we cut first. And this is our A fabric. You'll see I do this a lot too. And the A fabric is Scattered Petals White on White. They've given us 1 yard and 4 inches if you are using their kit, and if not, then this is your background fabric, and you do need 1 yard and 4 inches. Okay, so now that I've given everything a light press, I'm ready to start cutting. And the great thing is they will tell you item by item what you are subcutting. So the first thing I'm going to subcut is a 9-inch strip, and when they say 9-inch strip, they mean that it's 9 inches by the width of fabric. Okay, so I have this folded into 4, and it is the width of fabric. So, let's see. I'm getting a ruler, and I am going to put this down at 9 inches. I'm going to go a little bit inside so that I have some that I can cut off, and I'm doing that so that I can clean up this side. And then once we have that done, then you can pretty much just keep going. As long as you keep everything pretty straight, you'll be fine. So the way that I cut fabric, quite honestly, I don't go all crazy with it. I do tend to be a perfectionist. You'll see that as we go along, but I do find that especially when I'm cutting fabric, I try not to go too crazy with it. They give us plenty of fabric, not so much that, you know, you can go hog wild, but they are always very generous with their fabric. If for some reason you have like just enough, they will totally tell you that on your cutting instructions, okay? Okay, so let me get this 9 inches. I'm just going to fold this over so that it's out of the way. And then I'm going to flip this around so that I can clean up that edge. And now I'm going to line up my number 9 line with the edge that is good that I just cut. And basically, when you're cutting, you just want to make sure you can barely see your fabric to the other side. Just, I mean, just barely. I'm going to zoom in right here so you can see what I mean. But you just want, and that's just to make sure that you are definitely getting your 9 inches. If you put the line to the outside, then you're making it just a tad bit short, and I don't find that's a great thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to clean up this end. Now, after you do this, if you pick up one piece, like one individual strand, and then you can take it and it's all one piece, then you know that you've cleaned that edge. Okay. What is on here? Oh, I keep getting little thingies on there. It's making me crazy. Okay, so from this 9-inch strip, we are going to subcut 2 9 by 9 inch squares for week 2 and 12 4 by 4 inch squares for week 1. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the, is it two 9-inch squares? Okay. And let me just see this selvage. Okay, so it looks like if I just cut and get that selvage off, then we'll be fine. So I want to make sure I'm going to put my 9-inch line just to the inside of where I see the selvage ends. And let's see, where'd that thing go? There it is. And I'm going to take one of my lines, top or bottom, whatever you want. You just want to make sure that that is even, because then, you know, you're sure, or relatively sure, that you're getting that as square as possible. And I mean, we are human, so it's probably not perfect, but you know, it'll work. All right, so this is 2 squares because I do have it double thick right now. And I will just clean up this edge here. Okay, now what I am going to do is I am going to put all of my fabric in stacks by week. And that's because I know that when it comes to week 1, I'm going to need this stack of fabrics. When I get to week 2, I'm going to need this stack of fabrics, and so on. So all I'm really going to label these with is the fabric that it is, okay? Now, since this was, gosh, I get cats everywhere. I do have 4 cats, so there's like hair everywhere. I lint brush roll everything when I'm done, but it still drives me crazy in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to flip these and I'm going to put it right sides up. And if I do everything that way, then I'll always know that my white fabric is ready and all of that. So, where is my... Well, I don't have the right pen here, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to just write on here, A. I'm going to take my paper scissors. And you could keep going back and checking and, you know, but why do that? Just label it. It's not that big a deal. We'll do that, and then we'll just put a little wonder clip on there. And I'm going to set it aside. And now I am going to cut 12 4-inch squares for week 1. Okay, so I have my fabric ready for the next cut, and we now need 2 3-inch strips. From the 2 3-inch strips, we are going to subcut 26 3 by 3-inch squares, and then we're going to divide it between week 1 and week 5. Okay. Okay, so I have finished those squares and I have separated them into week 1 and week 5, and I put them with those stacks. Now we need 6 2-inch strips. Okay, I have 6 2-inch strips, and now I am going to subcut those into 42 2-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles. Okay, they're saying that we'll get 7 from each strip. And then we are going to have 8 of those for week 1, 20 for week 2, 8 for week 5, and 6 for week 6. Week 6 must be what? Putting them together? What is week 6? All right, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. But first, before I start doing all that, let's just do the 42 2-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles. Okay, so now we need to cut one 2-inch strip. And we are going to subcut that into 2 5.5-inch rectangles. And then we need 2 12-inch by 2-inch rectangles. Okay, so now we need 2 2-inch strips, and then we're going to subcut into 6 12-inch by 2-inch rectangles. Okay, so it's 2 2-inch strips. Okay, and then lastly, I need 1 3-inch strip, and I'm going to subcut that into 4 3-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles and 2 3-inch by 3-inch squares, and that's all for week 5. Okay guys, we are now on our B fabric, and this is the Summertime Twined Floral Red. This piece measures 7 inches by 22 inches. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to cut 4 3-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles and 4 3-inch by 3-inch squares. That's all for week 5. And then we're going to need 1 2-inch by 2-inch squares. Okay. So if I need, so this is 7 inches, so I can get the 5.5 that way. And then I would need 3 inches this way 4 times. So that's 12. So then that would be up to here. And then I need 4 3" by 3" squares. So that would be 2 rows of 3 inches, which would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 2" by 2" square, which is no problem. Okay, so that means, I don't know why do I do this? And I'm not gonna be able to stop until it's gone. Okay. Okay, so first thing I want to do, since the 5.5 is going to go this way, I'm going to cut 4 3" rectangles. Okay guys, so now we are on fabric C, and this is called Summertime Twined Floral Blue. We have received in the kit 10 inches by width of fabric. Okay, so let's get started on that one. Let's see. Fabric C, first we are going to need 2 9" squares for week 2. Okay. Okay, and then the next thing, it says from the remainder, we are going to cut 8 3" by 5.5" rectangles and 4 3" by 3" squares. And we're saving all of that for week 5. Okay. Okay, so now we are on fabric D, and fabric D is Summertime Gingham Red. We have received 5 inches by width of fabric of this fabric here, and we are going to subcut this into 8 4" squares for week 1. Okay, 8 4" squares. Okay, so moving on to fabric E, we need to subcut this into, this is the Summertime Diamonds Blue, and we have received a 10" by 5" piece in our kit. And then we're going to subcut this into 2 4" squares. Okay, so this is our fabric F. This is called Summertime Diagonal Stripes Blue, and the piece that we received in the kit is 13.5 inches by 22 inches. Okay, so we are going to subcut this into 1 12.5" square for week 2 and 2 4" squares for week 1. Okay. Okay, so I am back with fabric G, which is the Summertime Roses White, and this piece is measuring at 13.5 inches by 22 inches. So that's what came in the kit. And Let's go ahead and subcut this. We have to get one 12.5-inch square for week 2 and 4 3-inch squares for week 1. Okay, so now moving on to fabric H. This fabric is called Summertime Roses Blue, and the measurement on this piece is 8 inches by 22 inches, and that's what we got in the kit. We are going to subcut this into two 7-inch squares for week 2. Okay, this is our fabric I, and it is called Summertime Diagonal Stripes White. And this piece here is 8 inches by 22 inches. And we are going to subcut that into two 7-inch squares for week 2. Okay. Okay, so this fabric is fabric J. It's called Summertime Sketchy Dots Red, and we have received in the kit 14 inches by the width of fabric. We are going to subcut this down into two 6-inch strips, and then we're going to subcut that into 11 6-by-6-inch squares for week 3 and 4 2-inch squares. 2 of them are for week 1 and 2 of them are for week 5. Okay. Okay, this fabric is fabric K, and it is called Summertime Quilt Blocks Red. And in the kit, we receive a 4-inch by 22-inch piece of fabric. We are going to subcut this down into 8 2-inch squares. We're going to save 4 of them for week 2 and 4 of them for week 6. Okay, this is our fabric L. It is called Summertime Diamonds Red, and in the kit we have received a piece of fabric that is 4 inches by 10 inches. And let's see, we are going to subcut that into 4 2-inch squares, and those are all for week 6. Okay, this fabric here is fabric F, and it is called Summertime Quilt Blocks Blue. And in the kit, we have received 14 inches by the width of fabric. So if we go to fabric M, we are going to subcut this into 11 6-by-6-inch squares. Okay, so this fabric here is fabric N, It is called Summertime Roses Red, and we have received 14 inches by width of fabric in our kit. Okay, so we are going to subcut that down into 11 6-inch squares for week 3. Okay, so this is fabric O, and it is called Summertime Gingham Blue. And again, we have 14 inches by the width of fabric, and we are going to subcut this into 6-inch squares for week 3. And again, we want 11 6-inch squares for week 3. Okay, this is our fabric P, and this is Moda Marble Swirls in Windsor Blue. And we have received in our kit 8.5 inches by width of fabric. And we are going to subcut that down into 4 1 3/4 inches by width of fabric strips for week 6. So again, that's 4 1 3/4 inches by width of fabric. Okay, y'all, this is the final cut. This is our Q fabric, which is called Summertime Diagonal Stripes in red. We have received 16 inches by the width of fabric, and we are going to subcut that into 6 2.5-inch strips, and this is going to be used for our binding. Okay guys, so we have finished cutting all of our fabric, and even though we think, gosh, this is such a pain in the booty, isn't it lovely that it's ready to go now? So I have all of my fabrics that I'm going to need for week 1, and this is week 2, this is week 3, this is week 5, this is week 6, and this is our binding. And I know what you're thinking. Yvette can't count. Because I skipped week 4. Okay, so let me explain. What's going to happen is week 3 has got quite a lot of sewing. And so what Fort Worth Fabric Studio has decided to do is break week 3 up into actually week 3 and week 4. So it's going to be sort of like we're going to have a couple of weeks to finish all of the sewing that we need to do for week 3. So that's why there's a space right here where week 4 would have been. So that's the explanation, so that we don't have everybody going, hey, where's all the fabric for week 4? And that's why. So I just wanted to explain that right up front. And we are ready to go. So we will have posted this video where we cut all the fabric with you. And then we're also going to have week 1 posted. So we will be sewing up all of these fabrics right after this cutting video. So no waiting for sewing. We are ready to go. And yeah, so if you have any questions about what I do when cutting or what I do when sewing, it's possible that Kathy could have an explanation that would fit better with you, because everybody has a different way of learning, teaching, that sort of thing. So you can head on over to Kathy's Cute Creations. She is also doing cutting and sewing videos for the Fort Worth Fabric Studio Mystery Quilt. And I will see you guys in that first week of sewing. I can't wait.